The college football experience, Indiana Notre Dame, first ever 12-team playoff game reaction show episode on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up, and when you do, sign up with the promo code TCESGPN. You get a 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000. We're also brought to you by Rebet, brand new sports book. That is Rebet, available in 45 different states. Download Rebet in the App Store. Use that promo code SGPN for 100% deposit match up to $100. And we're also brought to you by Rhythm, the leader in data-driven picks and props. Get your free 7-day trial period today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's RITHMM. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. And remember, as always, folks, to let it ride.
And you know what?
This is Coach June Jones, and you're listening to SGPN. Let it ride.
Yes. Woo! Welcome to the college football experience. Preview and picks. No, reaction show and preview and picks for the college football playoff. But this is officially a reaction show for Indiana Notre Dame. The first ever 12-team playoff game, first ever on-campus college football playoff game. And if I may say so, that was awesome to see the Golden Dome, legendary arena or legendary stadium, not arena, rocking. And it's just everything about the night was picturesque to me. From all the people I was following, that were at the game. I saw Joe Theismann, friend of the program, at the game. College football campus tour, Michael Barker at the game, just several other people. And what better place than Notre Dame's campus and that stadium, which is a legendary stadium that is way better than anything the NFL ever has. And as far as the stadium, you know what I mean? Like, just seeing that, fantastic stuff. The game, we'll get to it. If you're wondering who the hell you're listening to, my name is Colby Swing at Database Dan, aka Pick Dundee. That's not a pick. This is a pick.
He was raised in the land down under, where a man thinks on his feet, speaks with his fists, and lives by his wits.
When Dundee happened, he was a superstar.
Nobody knows nothing. Somebody knows. Double the price. But no one touches Dundee.
No one does. Well, I took Indiana in the points, ate shit there, sprinkled some on the money line, ate shit there, but the under cashed. It's always a silver lining. All right, the under did cash, even though I thought for a second I might get a little dicey there. I am joined by my co-host. He is the host of the Big 12 College Experience and the Ryan and Rush Show. I know they did their college football playoff preview. Hopefully you check that out. Subscribe to both those shows. Give it up for former video coordinator for Hall of Fame coach Bob Huggins and Frank Martin, Ryan McIntyre, a.k.a. Money Line Mac. How are you, brother?
I'm doing good. Yes. What a day for just a sport altogether. Game day being in there, game day being under the lights was a cool, something different leading up there. I mean, I thought it was a cool scenery at Notre Dame. I'm not a big Notre Dame guy, but I do respect the stadium and the tradition. Fun day all around besides the game.
Mac tonight. Come on, make it Mac tonight. Yes. If you didn't catch the game, well, shame on you, because it was great to see college football in that type of setting and environment. But as far as the game, Notre Dame 27, Indiana 17. And I think even with that, score is a little misleading, because the Irish were once up 27-3. I think it was 27-3. Yep. I mean, Kurt Cignetti's done an unbelievable job with Indiana. And from the start, actually, you know what? Let me put the game on ice for a second. Hey, Lane Kiffin. Just got to say, I know you're friends with my guy, Mike Leach, and may Coach Leach rest in peace, but Just gonna go ahead and just sound off. Where am I at here? How about you shut the fuck up? All right. Really exciting, competitive game. Great job. You lost to Kentucky, a shitty team. Louisville beat Kentucky in Lexington by a ton of points. Shut the fuck up, dude. All right. Like if you're making the point to expand, sure, I'm on board. But Indiana, in my opinion, 100 times out of 100 is more deserving to be in this playoff than Ole Miss. Ole Miss, you have no excuse. Indiana's lone loss, well, now both their losses are to teams in the fucking playoff field. You lost to a shitty Kentucky team in your own house as a fucking 18-point favorite. Shut the fuck up, dude. I mean, I don't know if he's just doing shtick or if you're trying to expand, then I'm on board. But get out of here, man. Indiana was a better team than you this year. Aaron Torres, thank you. And the amount of SEC people coming out. First, I mean, your thoughts on Kiffin's statement there.
Predictable. The SEC is so predictable. Guys, enjoy basketball. Your basketball league this year. Three was perfect. You guys deserved. I mean, honestly, I don't even know how worthy Tennessee was, to be honest, but they only had 2 losses, so we put them in. I'm not going to fight that one. Alabama, stop with the Alabama propaganda. Yeah. Stop it. You talked about Kentucky losing against an 18-point favorite. I'll do you better. Alabama lost as a 24-point favorite, a 14-point favorite. And this is the league too, that they would be laying this amount of points. Have you looked at the look ahead line? Notre Dame's laying points against fucking Georgia, guys. Get some reality in your guys' lives. Your shit stinks.
Yeah, and shout out to Aaron Torres. I've met Aaron before, nice guy. And Peter Burns, the ultimate SEC yes man. He's in there saying Indiana's Big Ten schedule. This is what he tweets out: lost to 4th ranked Big Ten team by 23. And then he goes on to say, beat 7th ranked Big Ten team, beat 10th ranked Big Ten team, beat 12th ranked, 13th, 14th, 16th, 17th, and that's all accurate, right? But Texas is hosting a playoff game. Signetti was on the record saying we should be hosting. Notre Dame should be coming to us. Oh, well, Texas gets the privilege of hosting a playoff game. Why? I don't know. They lost to the only ranked team they played both times, and their wins against SEC teams beat the 6th ranked SEC team, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 15th, and 16th. I mean, Aaron, great fucking point. Good job shitting on him, because it's unbelievable to me that they just try to pump this. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of, and this is not to get political, but both sides. Like, I spent years working at a hotel bar, and very nice one in Beverly Hills. One side of the bar had to have CNBC on. The other side had to have Fox News on. And you sit there and you work an 8-hour shift hearing that. And it's like, you're just sitting there seeing the agenda being pushed on both sides. Right. And it reminds me of kind of what like the SEC has these people that are just skewing fucking stats. Like right there, Aaron putting them on blast. Why is Texas even by that logic? Indiana should have been hosting the game. And I can tell you this, watching the game tonight, even before the game kicked off, I thought about, I took Indiana plus the points and I lost, but I thought about, maybe I'm not valuing the home environment enough, because I always say the hardest thing to do is win on the road in college sports. That place was lit tonight and it was awesome, but I think there's something to it. And Indiana probably, despite what you say, clearly their resume is actually better than Texas. So why shouldn't they be hosting a playoff game? Anyway, your thoughts on the whole thing, but it just reminds me of like they like Lane, get the fuck out of here, man. Anyway, your thoughts.
Dude, it's just like they just pretend like results didn't happen. It's like, what are you talking about? I watched you lose to Kentucky. I watched you go to the swamp and get your ass beat with your season on the line. No, you don't deserve to be in. I'm sorry. You had multiple chances, and it's got to stop with this whole with the 8-game grind. You put an FCS in the middle of your fucking conference play, and you only play 8 games compared to other leagues that play 9 conference. Yeah. So just stop. And your non-cons are a joke. I mean, Alabama, really, you want to talk about non-con? Western Kentucky, South Florida, and a horrible, the worst Wisconsin team since like the 60s. Come on, man.
And an FCS team for a lot of these SEC teams, when the committee's on record over the 4 team and a little bit of this one of saying the wins in November mean more than September. That's what they said about Notre Dame. They said we look past Northern Illinois. That's why they get to host a game, is because they've been great ever since then. So a loss in November does not mean, or means way more than a loss in September. And you have fucking FCSs on your schedule in November, and everyone just ignores that. Fascinating, right?
Like you said, man, they just spew nonsense, and for a long time, and it worked for multiple years, including last year. They bullied Alabama in there because Saban was there. People have woken up now. The SEC isn't going to bully everybody with their agenda anymore. And I hate to break it to you guys, this fucking playing field, that cheating, paying players, everybody else can do that now too. So the playing field is only going to get more even, and you guys are coming more back to the pack. You're still a great league, but you're not the all high and mighty like you think you are. And I do want to say one thing too. Indiana, man, it was disappointing. They lost 2 games all year, at Notre Dame and at Ohio State. I mean, those are hard places to win at. So take some perspective, guys.
And I'm sick of the narrative. Like I got into it. Jared Smith. Jared's a great guy. I met Jared before, but he's like, his thing is like, you need to condense the 30, 35 teams and do, balanced scheduling. You can't predict the schedule.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like Washington, when you saw when that schedule dropped November 10th or whatever it was last year, somewhere in November, and you look at the schedule and you see Michigan, Washington, and Ohio State, you say, well, fuck, Michigan and Washington was the national championship last year. Ohio State's always elite, right? Not a bad schedule. It's a challenging schedule. But then what happens after the national championship? Kalen DeBoer leaves for Alabama, right? Yeah, Signetti in there saying I didn't want to pump. We'll get to that. Hang on, man. But my point is, like, you can't forecast. Like, okay, Alabama lost to Vanderbilt, right? Terrible loss, their favorite. But Vanderbilt was actually decent this year. If you went on the past 15 years of data or 10 years of data, I would say Vanderbilt's a 2 or 3 win team. So that game became much harder. So I just think it's insane. And I'd like to say like Indiana, the one thing I'll say is they canceled the Louisville game, but that was pre-Signetti. They were supposed to play Louisville, right? And we would have liked to have that game, obviously, but it is hard to forecast. You don't know until you with the league with 134 teams, or I know Jared's making the case for 30 to 35. I still would say the NFL has it wrong. I mean, how many times do you see in the NFL? I can remember the Redskins with Joe Gibbs in 2007 or 8 had a much better record than the Seattle Seahawks, I think it was, and played at Seattle, right?
Yep.
They got the home game because they won the NFC West, right? Or vice versa. Well, you know, it's happened a bunch of times in NFL history. So there's no to say the NFL doesn't get or does it right. Then I'll add in the fact that the NFL has teams that play a fucking home game in like Berlin. You missed the playoffs by 1 game. You look back at your schedule and say, well, we played a fucking home game in Berlin. And guess what? We don't have fucking fans in Berlin. You know what I mean? Like, or Sao Paulo or wherever the fuck, you know what I mean? London. So, I mean, you've seen them do this. So it's truly not fair there too, as well. So I don't know. I just think it's lame. It's a cop out to say, well, Indiana's schedule was, it was weak. It was. And having these gigantic conferences are stupid. You know what I mean? We hit on it all on the pregame show. It was weak, but we didn't know. Even I didn't know. And I took the over on Indiana. I didn't know it was going to be that weak because I thought Michigan would be a lot better. And that's what they weren't, you know? So anyway, your thoughts on that?
So Colby, I do want to talk about where this stemmed from. Like you said, unbalanced schedule is going to happen with these mega leagues. I mean, these people are so dumb that they didn't see this coming. Unless you're going to play all conference games, it's almost impossible to have it balanced. I'm so confused at the agenda of McElroy and McDonough, the guys that were calling the game. I agree, the Big Ten is a little bit overrated. I am no Big Ten homer. Don't get me wrong, but they started down a good path. Like, hey, they had a weak schedule. We agree. But then it was just to throw the SEC propaganda in there. If they had come back and said, well, the ACC and Big 12 are right there with them, which they are, then I think they would have had a point. But the whole thing to just crowbar the SEC right down our throats again is what really stemmed this. I wanted to what was your thoughts just on McElroy and McDonough taking a shot after shot at the Big Ten? And don't get me wrong, we don't like the Big Ten either, but they had a better. They're on par with the SEC this year.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think the SEC is a better conference this year, but not. I mean, it's not by that much. You know what I mean? Like, and that's the part I hate about it. As someone that covers college football and college basketball from a global point of view, or bird's eye view, they have vested interests. They have vested interest to pump their agendas. I hate the TV networks being a part of that. Because I wish the TV networks all had the same conferences, like 10 games each of the same conferences, or whatever the number would be. But by them doing that, because you see it all the time, I thought that was what's great about, the pregame today when they were making fun of Saban, calling him Alabama Jones, right?
That was great.
And I mean, they still, we were developing players. Come on, man. Don't lie to me. Don't lie to me. That's what I hate. That's what I hate is like, dude, I know what happened at LSU. I know people personally connected, right? And maybe in your mind, but these coaches' egos are on the fucking moon. You know what I mean? So it's like, don't spit at my ass and tell me it's raining. All right. Some of those players you did not give a fuck about. And it showed when they went elsewhere. That was a very funny joke by Shane Gillis, but it bothers me a little bit. And I thought like that it was almost like the set was afraid to talk about that, but we all know the elephant in the room. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm glad it took a comic to get up there and fucking say what we all know. You know what I mean? Anyway, hang on. I want to talk about the game, but before we do that, I want to let the people know that the college football experience is brought to you by Underdog Pick'em and Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Pick'em is one of the biggest venues for all of sports. You can win up to 1,000 times the amount of money you enter with Underdog Streaks. Underdog is always making it easier to win with Profit Boost and Gimme Pick'ems. There's college football, there's college basketball, there's NFL, there's MMA, NBA, NASCAR, and much, much more. You can now use specials and boost on all flex entries as well. So what do you do? Sign up, and when you do, sign up with the promo code TCESGPN to claim your special pick plus first time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code TCESGPN. We're also brought to you by Rebet. Rebet is a new social sports book available in 45 different states. There are plenty of betting opportunities available on Rebet. It's easy to use and great for people in states where traditional sports books may be restricted. Download Rebet in the App Store and use the promo code SGPN for 100% deposit match up to $100. That's Rebet, promo code SGPN. All right, we are back. Want to talk about the actual game here. And yeah, we have a pregame show tomorrow morning talking about all the college football games too and college basketball games. And obviously after this, we're going to do the college basketball experience. The game was, there was a couple pivotal points in this game. I think in general, whether you're playing Indiana, whether Notre Dame's playing Indiana, whether they're playing whoever, I think one of the keys to beating Notre Dame is making them feel uncomfortable, which means getting up early on them. Right.
Yep.
Northern Illinois was up after the end of the first. And I believe at the end of the second, they were, at halftime, they were also up 13-7. One of the reasons I think that play was so pivotal, and this, I'm not going to blame the refs for the whole game. I think they did a decent job, but Elijah Surratt so Indiana intercepts Notre Dame. So Indiana goes 3 and out. They punt the ball. Second play, I think, was deflection. Indiana intercepts Riley Leonard. And they end up driving down to Elijah Surratt catches a pass that might have been incomplete. We don't know. The replay, they tried to go no huddle, right? Indiana knew they had to get up there quick. I personally thought it was a catch on the quick replay, but I still would have liked to seen a second replay myself. But my problem is Indiana was doing that because they didn't call pass interference. That was a blatant and obvious pass interference to me, right? Like, or defensive holding, whatever you want to call. So they would have, if they had just thrown there would have been no effort to rush, right? To rush. Cause you're saying, hey, we got this. And by them, first 4 minutes of the Notre Dame Indiana game, 2 interceptions, 1 first down, 98 yards rushing touchdown. Yeah, exactly. That interception was so pivotal. And I know Rourke missed the open guy. The announcers had it right. There was an open guy in the wing, but it was so pivotal because if you go up 7-0 on Notre Dame, they are not a team that's built to come from behind. Now I know that 7-0 is just one score, but they're just not a team that I think when you put the pressure on them at home, and you also would have silenced the crowd a little bit. I can't emphasize how big that was. The no call that was to me a very bad no call. Like he had held him for about 5 yards, right? And then, so whether you call it defensive holding, whether you call it PI, whatever, right? They wouldn't have needed to rush up there for that, right? Now, having said that, great interception. And then to me, I actually thought Indiana might have been in a spot to get a safety. This was at the 2-yard line. But shout out to Jeremiah Love being a fucking absolute beast, and shout out to the O-line for an awesome block. That was the game to me. Like that moment, because you give up a 98-yard touchdown after. So essentially, Indiana forced a turnover, and they got 0 points. Notre Dame forced a turnover, and this was almost like 14 points because they were about to score. And now the next play, Jeremiah Love has a 98-yard touchdown run. I think that was the entire game right there. Like that, there couldn't have been a bigger 3 plays in the game consecutively than those 3 plays. I don't know your thoughts on I guess what I'm saying here.
I think you hit the nail right on the head. And this is the same thing that'll go for Clemson with Texas tomorrow. Texas, Notre Dame, those are front runner programs. When they get ahead, they like to they pound their chest. But when you hit them in the mouth, they kind of pucker up and they play tight. Maybe some of the air, the juice would have came out of that building if they went up 7-0. They got the gift early when Riley went off the defender's face mask up in the air. They got the pick. They got the big play down the field. That was a huge momentum swing. That interception, then a 98-yard run for Jeremiah Love, and then next thing you know, Notre Dame's off to the races. So, I mean, it's the same blueprint for Clemson tomorrow against Texas. They got to start fast. You got to get the lead against a Notre Dame or Texas, and that's always been the blueprint against these kind of front runner soft programs, in my opinion, that traditionally underachieve. But I give Notre Dame credit. They won the line of scrimmage tonight.
Yeah, but Texas to me still has like more firepower. Like Texas can make, like surprisingly enough, like Notre Dame to me does not have like a big play offense to me. Like Texas, the reason why I would say that I don't know that if I'm all the way on board with the comparison is like when when Notre Dame goes down 7 or 10 points or something, like they need like normally they need like a 14 play drive. Yeah. And that's harder to do than just Texas has guys that will just, hey, here's a wide receiver screen that they could take 80 yards for a touchdown. So like, I think that was just so essential in this game. And you also being a road team would have got the environment to be a little quiet, a little on edge. Mm-hmm. But shout out to Mean Gene Okerlund in the chat. Specifically shout out to him because we're very thankful that you're in here checking us out. Mean Gene. I know I responded to you the other day. We're very grateful for all the people that tune in. Always have been, always will be. There was some key blunders to me from Kurt Cignetti today.
Oh my God.
This punter is fucking awful. Well, first off, before we even got to this point, he's fucking terrible. He was terrible in the Ohio State game. He was awful today. Now he got better in the second half. But each punt was like 17 yards. You're just sitting there like, good God. Special teams. once again, if you go back to the Ohio State game, they gave up a punt return for a touchdown and they dropped the ball on a punt. This punter dropped the ball, right? Special teams was fucking horrible in the Ohio State game. It was horrible tonight. I don't understand. I can't tell you. Me and Patty, CNC Nick are on a text chain. We're sitting there saying, how the fuck does he keep calling fair catches on these kicks? Like you're down. What was it? 27-3 or 20-3, or the one right before the half when you literally have, I don't know, 20 seconds or something. I don't remember. But when they're kicking the ball that short, that returner multiple times was getting it at the 9-yard line and he's waving for a fair catch. You're playing pussy ball. No, go back to that Northern Illinois game. Northern Illinois has a great kick return in that game. Anytime you can steal points, you're already down points and you're calling for a fair catch. Then on top of that, you kick a field goal on a 4th and 4. Me and Gene was talking about this when it's 14-0 and you're inside their 25-yard line. Questionable. And then the big one, the punt, the huge one. It was like, you're on the Notre Dame side of the field. What was it? 4th and 11, I think it was, right? Or 4th and 10, one of the two, right? And you, oh my God, Kurt Cignetti, for you to talk all that with that big dick energy tonight, you showed a large amount of small dick energy. Oh my God. I mean, it was a accumulation of all of it. I don't know if you guys were watching this where, I know B-Nick, you're behind the scenes, but like the fair catches were killing me. You're getting the ball at the 10-yard line with an athlete. Oh my God. What are you doing? Okay. I can understand one, maybe like he misjudged it. He runs up, fair catch, but getting that many chances to break the game open. You have, when you put a returner back, this is why I love the kickoff, the real kickoff, not that bullshit in the NFL, right? You get a chance to change the whole fucking game. You put your best athletes back there and you get a chance that can, I think there's a stat in the NFL in the playoffs that teams that have a kick return or punt return for a touchdown have like a 94% chance of winning the fucking game, right? That is an opportunity to steal points. You're on the road, and especially as the game, as you dug yourself more of a hole, like this is your way out. Instead, you're going to put it in Curtis Rourke's hands when your offense. He even said on this clip, our offense has been nothing. That's why I punted on 4th and 10. Well, why the hell is your return man calling a fair catch every time when they're kicking it short because they don't have any leg? Very frustrating. Very pussy ball. Like they played pussy ball tonight, in my opinion. I don't know.
Yeah, and I love Cignetti. I mean, he's a Mountaineer. He did a great job this year. Like the way that he talked on game day is what got the program and energized. He said Purdue sucks, Michigan sucks, Ohio State sucks, and that rubbed people the wrong way. I had no problem with it. I didn't like today. I didn't like going on the set right before you're playing Notre Dame and saying that we kicked the shit out of all the top 25 teams. But if you're gonna do that, I mean, if that's what Cignetti's done, you can't fucking punt on 4th and 10, bro. Like play to win the game. I thought the moment the game was too big for him tonight. I mean, this is his first time. Like he's won a lot of games. He's a hell of a football coach. Don't get it twisted, everybody. Don't just because he had a bad night doesn't take away from him turning Indiana into an 11-2 team in year number 1 and what he did at JMU, etc. But he had a bad night. You can't talk all that shit and coach like that. So he'll learn from that. But yeah, definitely a disappointing night for us that like Cignetti.
No, it was a great first year. Don't get me wrong, but I just thought, good God, like, in the timeout use, I know Noah was just playing the clip, youtube.com/the college experience. Hit that like and subscribe, by the way, as we're trying to get to 15K by January 1st, or we're going to be doing this show at a dive bar with no mics and no internet connection. But
less than 600, we're chipping away at that.
There we go. Get on over there. The punt, I even think the field goal was questionable because you're like, man, you're down 14-0. And it just looked at that point when they're down 14-0. Notre Dame was getting movement.
Yeah, they were
like on the offensive side of the ball. You know what I mean? Like, And it was like, dude, I don't know what a field goal really does here. But I will say that was to me, the punt was a horrible coaching decision. The timeout was terrible. And to me, the kick returns, it's like, I just don't understand. You're a dog. This is like Notre Dame. If we're being honest, Notre Dame has better athletes than Indiana, but it's not like they're super elite. Like, one of the things that stops them from winning national championships over the past 20 years has been they don't have the elite athlete, right? I mean, how many times have I said on this very show, Notre Dame's receivers, they haven't had a nasty home run threat receiver in a long time to me, right? Mm-hmm. Or if so, it was like one over the past 20 years. And so that's your advantage right there. You have a guy back there that could possibly be the best athlete on the field right there. We don't know. We have no idea, but that's your chance to break one, and you're just calling fair catch after fair catch or fair catch after fair catch. It was just disappointing in that regard. And I know it wasn't only me, because I know we all shared we all came to that same conclusion text wise when I was on my text chain. But besides that, Riley Leonard did a great job after that first pick, because that wasn't even really his fault. But I'm surprised the quarterback's legs didn't play a bigger role. I thought it was going to be a bigger role. I thought Mitchell Evans, who I lost money on, I thought he would get over 28 yards or 28 and a half yards. Noah Beanick showing a tweet from Adam Gibby. 100 outside of the top 3 to 4 teams. The Big Ten is not that great. 4 to 5 teams from the Big 12/ACC with Indiana's schedule would have finished 11-1 and made the playoff. I think it's maybe. You know what I mean? You don't know. You know what I mean? Like,
that's why I'm annoyed with the way that this went at the end with the fucking McDonough and McElroy pushing that narrative. Like, I don't think it's a debate that Indiana should have been in the playoff. They steamrolled everybody. Ohio State. And I don't like the Big Ten. I'm not going to pump the Big Ten, but I'm going to call a spade a spade. They deserve to be in the playoff. They killed everybody that was in front of them. But I think we're taking away from what Notre Dame did tonight. Automatically, Notre Dame's playing really good football, and I hate Notre Dame. And you hate Notre Dame, but they ever since the Northern Illinois loss, they are playing really good football. The only thing that was out on them was their level of competition has been a little bit suspect, but like from an eye test standpoint, in the trenches they're really good. Like, and Riley Leonard,
they always have.
Yeah.
To Brian Kelly's credit, like when Brian Kelly came in, he got that O-line and D-line to be good. I don't know if it was all him. I'm sure certain coaches there. The focus is all on Indiana, but there's troubling the fact that the 4 Big Ten playoff teams combined OOC was versus the P4 was okay. I mean, this is going to continue. Yeah. This is going to continue to happen though, where the best schedules are going to get in. You know what I mean? Like, not all of them, because some teams, it is hard to do. It's still hard to go 11-1. Like, BYU almost did it. We thought BYU should have been in the playoff, but BYU also almost lost a couple games. There's even like the Bama runs with Saban. You can go back, even some of their more dominant teams. I think there was one year where they just beat the shit out of everybody. Yeah, that's a 4th and 26 against a 5-7 team. Yeah, so it's hard to do. It's hard to win these games. So 11-1 is 11-1. I know they didn't get Penn State. I know they didn't get Oregon, but at the same time, like, they got Ohio State, they got the reigning national champions Michigan, the runner-up Washington. I don't think you can dive any more into that than like. Sometimes there's going to be teams like you see this in the NFL. If I don't watch the NFL now, but I did for a long time, and I was a passionate fan for a long time. And sometimes you see teams that get an easier schedule. Brandon Walker saying, what's that?
They I know the biggest thing that was nice for them is they only had 4 true road games. That was what was big time for them. But outside of Ohio State, they go to UCLA. I know UCLA wasn't very good, especially at the beginning of the year, but they won by 30. They go to Northwestern. They're okay. I mean, not very good, but they win by 3 scores. They go to Sparty, who's at least well coached, they win by 45 points. So it's they weren't sneaking by these games. I mean, you can only play who's in front of you. And to your point,
no, they destroyed them.
Yeah. There's going to be games where, like BYU, for example, you find a way to get it done. I'm not expecting Alabama and Ole Miss to roll everybody, but on days that you don't have it, you still have to find a way to win. You can't lose as an 18-point favorite or a 24-point favorite or 14-point favorite. Wins still do matter, and we can't just throw out games where teams drop as 3 touchdown favorites. I mean, what are we talking about here?
Yeah. Shout out to Clark. Clark's the man, but I push back on, so you say no one is going to play anyone anymore. I disagree because the TV networks have a stake in this. They need the big time games. They invested a shit ton of money. So like next year, Michigan's at Oklahoma, Texas is at Ohio State. They have control of it. You know what I mean? Like they watch when Alabama's not going to do this. I know their AD threatened that, even though they didn't play a tough non-con this year, but they're not going to because the TV execs are going to say, "The fuck, we invested in you." No, we're not putting. Like that's. And another thing is, I think it's going to be harder to tell who's bad. You know what I mean? Like that with the NIL, everything's gotten more level, so you're not going to know when the schedule comes out in December or normally. I mean, before all this conference realignment shit, it was done in like October and November. This year was December for the SEC and Big Ten. You're still not going to know because the portal. You're not going to know who the fuck is on each team. So like, you're not going to know if your schedule's challenging or not. You know what I mean? Like look at some of the big games. Arizona State was projected to be dead last in the Big 12. Right. And I was even on board with that projection. I was like, yeah, I don't think that schedule's too hard. They're not going to be able to get through it. They might start Jeff Sims. And so college football, we thought Michigan was going to be good this year. I mean, when I say we, the world did. We thought a lot of teams were going to be good this year. Ole Miss, a lot of people had in the playoffs. I wouldn't define them as a great team. There's more too. Florida State, people had Florida State in the top 10. Yeah. You thought Florida State was a hardcore game. Oh man, we got a game against Florida State. Look at them. You just don't know. So it's an impossible thing to do. Signetti saying we don't just beat 25 top 25 teams. We beat the shit out of them. Not tonight. Want to talk more about Notre Dame in a second here.
It's him going on game day right before the game. I
hate all that shit. I hate all that shit. I hate in-game interviews. I hate pre-game interviews. I hate fucking. I know the SEC is about to do like a Hard Knocks. I don't like Hard Knocks. I don't like any of that shit because it's all for show. I like not knowing. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to know about some guy showing up 2 minutes late, can't get in the. Like I'm like whatever. It's all overkill to me. Yeah.
Let McAfee be your pump man. Don't for me, like steady. That's got to be a learning experience. You don't need to go on there and give Notre Dame bulletin board material 3 hours before the game. That's just like I said. That's like the inexperience in the moment, in my opinion.
You can give me the post game off the field, and sometimes that's fun. But as far as the other ones, I could give a fuck. You know what I mean? Like I prefer to not have it. If I had a button to press, I'd be like, save me from it. I don't need it. I'm a Colorado fan. Have I watched any of that shit behind the scenes? Nope. You know what I mean? I don't care. You know what I mean? Like, I want to talk about Notre Dame though. Hang on. But before I do that, I want to let the people know that the college football experience is brought to you by mybookie.ag. Yes, MyBookie has been running on SGPN for years. Check out their new and improved website. It's great on mobile. Plus there's props for every game, and the live dealer casino is always fun. They got new cash out options too. I am on Ohio State minus the points tomorrow. The Big Ten is going to bounce back, even though I'm not a Big Ten guy. If anything, they're snobby little bitches often. But Ohio State minus the points against Tennessee. Head over to mybookie.ag. Use that promo code TCESGPN for 100% deposit match up to $1,000. Plus, they're going to give you a little $10 casino chip to get your beak wet. That's mybookie.ag. Promo code TCESGPN. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. SGPN's proud partner Rhythm is the #1 AI-powered sports betting platform that helps provide bettors of all levels the ability to build custom predictive betting models in seconds and get predictions for betting on money lines, spreads, totals, props. You can copy one of the top performing models from the leaderboard, or you can build your own. That's what I do. And then Rhythm will build around that. You can now track their props in the Rhythm app, which is fantastic. They got college football, they got college basketball, NBA, NFL, they got it all. Claim your free 7-day trial period today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's RITHMM. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. All right, we're gonna close it out in a little bit here, but I do want to hit on this. This is a perfect example. There you go. Notre Dame has just turned $4 million for reaching the college football playoff after beating the Hoosiers in the first round. The Fighting Irish just secured another $4 million. That's not including the local economy. You know, I saw Ross Dellinger posting that he was at the linebacker. Shout out if you've been to South Bend, you should hit up the linebacker for that. Like, just the local economy's thriving. It's awesome. It's a no brainer. Ditch bowl games. Play your championship game at the Rose Bowl, or rotate that thing between the classic stadiums like the Sun Bowl, the Rose Bowl, Cotton Bowl, Liberty Bowl, but get the corporate bullshit out of here and play on campus. All right. I wanted to key in on this too. Going back to the schedule thing, a perfect example to me was Syracuse. If you listen to our preseason episodes, I think I made the case for Rutgers. I made the case for Syracuse. I made the case for Indiana, even on on the team previews, where I said, if everything goes right, they could be a playoff team. Syracuse was damn close. Damn close. Had they not lost to Stanford, Syracuse was damn close to being in the mix. And it's all schedule related. Yes, you have to, but you have to have a certain amount of talent and coaching, but you still have to win the games. Syracuse went out and they lost to Stanford, got upset by Stanford. Right. And that's what I'm saying is Cignetti, A, he dominated everybody, but B, they didn't trip. You got to reward that. They deserve to be in every year, in my opinion. So back to Notre Dame though. I mentioned this when the bracket came out. I was going to take the winner to give Georgia problems with knowing Georgia, but I'll say this. I think Notre Dame was the much better threat because of how good that defense is. Because Georgia's going to be starting a backup quarterback against that Irish defense. I mean, right now, I think Notre Dame can beat them. I worry about, some of the guys on the outside. Notre Dame's what's crazy is, yeah, but they if they just had a couple home run threats, I would feel a lot better. But Jeremiah Love, I guess, is a home run threat. But yeah, what do you make of Notre Dame's chances? I thought anyone on that side of the bracket. That's why I know Patty C was saying Indiana to the national championship. I was like, I can see it. I was like, that side of the bracket, whoever wins this game, plays Georgia with a backup quarterback. Now, obviously Kirby's good, and even with backup quarterbacks, he's got a great track record, but it wouldn't shock me. Georgia's been living on the edge. They almost lost to Kentucky. What do you think about the Irish chances moving forward?
I think it's a 50-50 game. And I mean, that's why the line is what, Notre Dame -1. I think that maybe I would have Georgia -1, but I think the biggest thing with me, I kind of anticipate Notre Dame will be a trendy pick here, because we do see this in the NFL where a team wins in the wild card round, everybody falls in love with them, and the team that had a bye gets fresher legs, gets to scheme up some different things that weren't on film the previous week, comes out with a different level of energy. And Kirby has been here, done that. He's got 2 national championships. And the only thing holding me back on Notre Dame, picking Notre Dame, is every time that they've got to this moment playing the top dog in the SEC, whether it's been Alabama or Georgia, they've kind of got their ass kicked. Yeah. So,
more so Bama.
Yeah.
With Georgia, they had them on the ropes a couple times. I mean, they kind of got beat down in Athens, and they dressed it up. But the one in South Bend, they almost had that game. Yeah, this game's in New Orleans at that filthy bullshit Superdome. But anyway, what are you gonna say?
But if you take out the past, history bias, Notre Dame, I think, does match up pretty well with Georgia. I mean, they can bang with them in the trenches. I actually think they might be better than Georgia in the trenches. I mean, I love that offensive
Georgia's
line.
not as good defensively as they were. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like a couple years ago, you look at it, and also obviously they're not as good from the skill position players because all the receivers got arrested and shit. Kicked off the team or whatever. Right? They graduated or got kicked off the team. It's gonna be fun. I mean, I think Notre Dame can get them. They're gonna need to be. Yeah. Well, just at that stadium too. It sucks, but it's boring. Makes me want to fall asleep.
Yeah.
I saw Jason Whitlock's dumbass post tonight. Anyway, more outdoor, the better it is. In a dome, it's just this mundane. Yeah, it's gonna be fascinating. I don't know if you want to say anything else about the game. Shout out to Marcus Freeman getting the first home playoff win, first playoff win for Notre Dame.
If you're putting a gun to my head right now to make a pick, I would say Georgia. I think Georgia wins a really tight game, but I think it's a toss up. I think these are two evenly matched teams. I would honestly argue Notre Dame might be a little bit better, but the game's in New Orleans. Georgia's the rested team, and they have the veteran coach. So I probably would take Georgia right now.
I think Kirby Smart with 2 weeks to prep is really dangerous.
Yeah.
I said that I was kind of in a way rooting for Texas to beat Georgia because I thought Georgia on 1 week of prep, I think is very vulnerable this year. 2 weeks of prep. I think Kirby Smart's really good at prepping and getting ready, and he's a great motivator too. So we'll see. If anything, I think Georgia might trip the game after Notre Dame. So I think I would give me. Yeah. I mean, I'm surprised at that line though. I've seen Georgia -1, right? Yeah. Shout out to Joel Klett, even though yeah. Even though he was saying some crazy shit, saying Army Navy should be week 0. The fuck is he talking about?
That's the worst take I've ever heard of my life.
Yeah, that might be the worst take of all time. It's like, what? Folks, we're doing the college basketball experience right now. Hop on over. This is the end of the college football show. We'll be live tomorrow morning previewing. Look, we do it right. We're not only previewing the FBS playoffs, the 12-team playoff, but the FCS. We'll talk D2, D3, NAIA. All that shit's going on tomorrow. It's a beautiful day. And then you mix that in with college hoops. Whew. Yes. Get on over there, youtube.com/the college experience. Give Moneyline Mac a follow on Twitter at Moneyline_Mac. I'm on Twitter at TheColbyD. The college football experience is on Twitter at TCE on SGPN. Also, Noah Beanick on the boards on Twitter at NoahB77_. Yeah, give us about 5 minutes and we'll be back talking college hoops because we got a fire slate tomorrow to add on top of that with everything else. Till next time, this is the college football experience. You better start thinking about yours. And we out of here.
Run and shoot. We can really run and shoot. And the whole team's cooking and the whole world's looking with the cameras. Run and shoot. We can really run and shoot. Forgetting